Welcome to the Rainy Day Rabbit Holes podcast, your escape from the mundane.
Dive into the rich history of the Pacific Northwest with us and let your mind wander down the rabbit hole.
Because in the Northwest, it's always raining something weird. I am Shea.
And I'm Jody. Let's fall down the rabbit hole.
We're so deranged.
You know, if we hadn't found each other, we'd be lonely forever. There's no one like us.
My husband does not get me. This part of me at all.
We are deranged in a harmless way.
Yes. Well, maybe.
Okay, no physical harm.
We did plot how we could murder and dispose of bodies.
Yes. Hey, that's by accident, just things we've learned.
Exactly. We're just repeating things other people have told us. So, Jody, since we talked about the Salish Sea human feet discoveries last year, has how you feel about the Salish Sea changed at all?
No, not at all.
No, you don't think about bodies at the bottom of the sea or
no, I've always
floating
thought
around
about that. I have always thought about that.
Okay, so it didn't add a new anxiety or phobia or anything. Okay.
Always had it.
But when you're on a beach, do you scan the tide line looking for shoes now?
I do. I had heard about the feet washing ashore, so I had been looking for them.
Okay.
Anyway, much like the garbage bags
Right.
of bodies.
Still one of my favorite lines. All bodies come in plastic bags.
Big plastic garbage bags, yes.
Are you ever tempted to put a rubber foot in a shoe and just leave it on the beach?
Oh my gosh, and then set up a camera.
Can we do that next time we go to Harstein Island and just watch people?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Oh, especially right after Thanksgiving, we could get a
fake foot.
Or not Thanksgiving, Halloween, get a fake foot on clearance. Let's do this on a budget.
You could put a plastic skeletal foot in there.
Exactly.
Just so a bone's poking out of the boot.
Oh, and we could make a little fake blood and paint it on there just to get real creepy. Oh my God, let's do it. We're so
Never mind,
twisted.
we're not harmless anymore. We are deranged and not harmless anymore. I'm just kidding.
So welcome, rabbit holers, to Rabbit Hole Rewind. Now that we have been doing this for over 1 year, we have basically no memory of any of our episodes prior to April of 2024.
Oh, you either? I thought it was just for my...
I mean, I have a vague recollection that we did the episodes,
Yeah.
but I don't remember basically anything that happened in them.
Right. I was thinking, okay, first, I've had some brain things in the last year, but also I was thinking when I was re-listening to these, we need to document which order it was in our recording. So was it the third of the day? How many champagnes did we have? And was it champagne or were we into vodka?
Well, when I listened to them too, now I can really tell the ones where we were drunk.
Yes.
Because I start talking over you in a way that is, especially when I have to listen to it over and over and over again for editing, that I find myself so irritating. I was like, God, that girl will not stop talking over the other host. It's so rude and annoying. So listeners, if you have ever thought that about me, I'm with you. I 100% agree. I'm annoying.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't find you annoying. My critique of me is I need to remember when I'm podcasting, I am not a nurse because everything I say, I'm like, oh my God, I said that backwards. That's not true. That doesn't make sense. I apologize to every medical professional. And vow from now on, while I'm got a mic in front of my face, I'm not a nurse because clearly it upsets my brain. Well, tumbles my info. And out comes nonsense.
I also don't think anybody should be taking medical advice or opinions from our podcast.
Except for that I say that I'm a nurse and I'm like, oh God, why did I say that? That's not even right.
Well, I do think the one piece of medical advice we could give is don't put coffee up your butt. I think that we've decided that is 100% medical advice you can take away from this podcast.
Well, and then I think another one was, making sure that there's a flared edge.
So you don't lose things.
Yeah.
We thought it would be fun to go back and listen to some of those episodes again. And we've picked some of our favorites to showcase for you. Listening back, I've rediscovered some things like the I'm annoying one. We are very funny.
Oh my God. I think I'm going to need Botox if I'm going to keep listening to our episodes. I crack up so hard. It's like I get to hang out with you again. Oh, and get to hang out with me.
Well, and especially when you hit like a really good bit and you're like, God, that was good. Nice job.
Right.
And you're like, oh, that was me. That's not my brain. And also, champagne makes us more fun.
Yes, clearly.
So what are some of your favorite parts from the Salish Sea feet episode?
My favorite part was that it was clearly not our first episode of the day. And we had been drinking, so we're pretty funny. However, I think sometimes we're a little bit insensitive to suicide when I was listening to it.
Yeah.
It was like, oh.
That made me cringe a little bit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we apologize in advance.
And I think that this is definitely the episode where your friend Kate's our discussion about men. When I was listening, I'm like, ooh, I think I nailed down the one he was talking about.
Was it the comment about going back and living in the 1880s?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I left that in. I had to. It was too good. So
Yeah.
I would say my favorite part of this episode was my very excellent dad jokes.
Yes. Yes.
I had so many good bad jokes. And unfortunately, as of this recording, almost a year later, I'm still not a dog dad.
I know. I was thinking about that. This is unacceptable.
I know. Tell Rich, everybody, if you know my husband, tell him he needs to let me get a dog.
At least by Christmas. Do you think you'll be ready for a dog by Christmas?
Yeah, I'm going to push hard for Christmas because what I'm going to say is all I want for Christmas is dog gear. Dog beds, dog bowls, leashes, doggy gates.
Yeah.
Give me all the dog stuff.
Mhm.
That's what I want for Christmas. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to form a Chewy wish list that I'm just going to send to him.
A Chewy wish list.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Well, this week, we're hopping back into one of our most intriguing episodes. Episode 18, The Salish Sea Human Feet Discoveries. In this episode, we dove into the bizarre and mysterious phenomenon of human feet washing ashore in the Pacific Northwest. Spoiler alert, this mystery hasn't lost any of its eerie charm. So sit back and relax and enjoy this hilarious and spooky episode, The Salish Sea Human Feet Discoveries.
Dun, dun, dun.
Perfect. The Pacific Northwest never fails to deliver on weirdness. We've got a ton of serial killers, cults, and now disembodied feet on the beach.
That's creepy.
It is. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the Salish Sea human foot discoveries. Okay, Jody, you ready to get into some weird stuff?
Oh, I love weird stuff. This is why we got started on this.
I know.
This right here.
Weird stuff.
Weird stuff.
Okay. Our story takes us up north to our much nicer neighbors in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Much nicer neighbors.
That's Canada.
Yeah, they are very much known for their niceness.
So on the shores of False Creek Bay, not far from Granville Island, is a cobblestone shopping plaza with a giant anvil art installation. So, you know, an anvil, something that you would hit a hammer on.
Yep.
It's giant. It's like 20 feet tall. It's huge.
Well, who's running that show?
Well,
Who's running that anvil?
It's an art installation, my
got
dear.
you.
It just sits there. Here you can sit and enjoy views of Vancouver's skyline or admire the many sailboats in the marina. The name of the shopping plaza? Get this. Leg in Boot Square.
Leg in Boot Square.
Leg hyphen in hyphen boot square.
I feel like somebody made the name up one day when they were trying to remind themselves what they were supposed to do in the morning as they got ready.
Gotta put my leg in the boot.
I gotta put my leg in the boot. I'm gonna make a note of that.
Underwear on first square.
And now it's the name.
Which makes you wonder how it came to be named
Leg
Leg
in
in
Boot.
Boot Square.
Okay, I have a feeling based on our intro It's not about putting one leg in at a time.
Nope.
It's not like putting your pants on one leg at a time. It's not about putting one boot on at a time. I have a feeling this is a whole different story.
It is. So here's the story. In the summer of 1886, our favorite time period.
I had no idea we go back this far. Oh my gosh.
Well,
when we started this journey.
hey,
for those that don't know, Shay and I don't tell each other our rabbit holes. So literally what she is bringing to me, I am hearing for the first time.
Yes.
I knew this story was coming, had no idea it went back that far.
Well, and we do seem to hang out a lot in the late 1800s in our podcast, don't we? We did the Chinatown. We did the beginning of the immigrants here in the Pacific Northwest. Right. We like
that old history.
We like that 1880s time. Okay. So in the summer of 1886, not long after the Great Fire that destroyed much of Vancouver, a half of a human leg washed up on the shore of False Creek, still wearing a knee-high leather boot.
Male or female?
They did not
say.
at
least the boot.
They did not say. I'm assuming male.
Okay.
Because remember, they made skirts and high heels so that women couldn't run away.
Right.
That's why that's
what I was wondering. Do I picture a high heel boot or do I picture a dude heel boot?
I think it's a dude heel boot.
Okay, got it.
There was no sign of the rest of the body. Vancouver Police Department constables were baffled. But you know what? Detective work is really hard. You know what's easier than actually pounding the pavement looking for answers?
Oh, can I guess?
Sure.
Making assumptions and going with it.
Or letting the answers come to you.
Oh. I've been watching too much ID channel.
At this time, the police station headquarters was a tent at the foot of Carroll Street, thanks to the recent fire. So they mounted the leg to a pole outside their quote-unquote headquarters and just waited for someone to come and claim it.
Do you recognize this? What?
Does this belong to you?
It's in the lost and found.
Can you imagine you're digging through the lost and found through coats and water bottles?
I've been looking for this everywhere.
Oh my God. I forgot I left this here.
Oh my God. What? Okay, and at what point does it stink?
Well, and there it hung for 2 weeks, rotting and stinking. But it was the 1880s, so everything probably smelled really bad. So it kind of just blended in with the feces that were probably in the gutter and
right. Well,
sure.
We used to let our livestock just roam the streets, letting their...
Well, and if a fire had burnt down and there's no sanitation, the gutters are flowing with human feces too, I'm sure. It was a real sexy time. Let's go back there.
Yep.
Let's make America great again. Like the 1880s. Sorry.
You're going to probably have to cut that, but yes, this is what I think every time somebody says that. Let's make America great again. Make America great again. I'm like, for fucking who?
Okay. So
not even you. Literally not even you. You're swimming in sewage right now.
Bathing was a once a week affair if you were rich.
No one.
All right. So it was already in an advanced state of decomp when they found it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I can only imagine what it smelled like after 2 weeks in the summer sun.
Oh my God,
this
summer sun.
In the summer.
And it washed up on shore. So it'd been in the Salish Sea, which I do love, but does have its own smell. So it's already been decaying in the Salish Sea.
And then they nail it up to a pole and let it sit there in the August summer sun.
Found January 24th on this beach. Is this yours?
So when no one-legged man showed up, they just threw it away. Some stories say they gave it to a dog, but I think that's a little Salish. I think that's a little Salish Sea. I think that's a little salacious. Let's start that over.
Wait, so they gave it... So one rumor is they gave it to a dog to eat. I'm assuming
it was
chew
just
on the bone.
One blurb. Okay, so
not to where I'm like, is this a 3-leg dog?
This story that may not be completely accurate. I found accounts that discredit this story, possibly
the whole story.
Well,
not just the dog part.
That there was telling that perhaps they found more than just the leg.
Okay,
that they didn't hang it out on a pole for 2 weeks. It may not be completely accurate. But it was a good enough of a story to name this shopping plaza after it.
Well, it's a legend now. Whether it's true or not,
exactly.
It's a legend.
It makes a great story.
Yeah.
And that was not the last time a disarticulated foot was found on Vancouver's shores.
Wow.
But first, we're going to take a little break.
Welcome to Short Pour, hosted by two brothers that love beer. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Chris. Join us as we make our way through a new theme each episode.
I wanted to check out the phrase, hell yeah,
I chose to do the history of paper planes.
bird migrations as the topic for this week.
I went with the history of model cars this time.
Analyze some wild online reviews. Easy on the brain. What the hell does that mean?
What? And go to some absurd places.
I think I'm going to have to say, anonymous time traveler, you have been found thirsty in a court of lager.
So if you want more of that, check out Short Pour.
We'll keep one cold for you.
All right.
Continue.
Well, we should get back to the Salish Sea human foot discoveries. What do you think? All right, let's do it.
I can't wait. I've been hearing about this forever, so I'm so glad you dived in because I was like, what is this? Why? And how? And why is it not a bigger deal? Please tell me.
Okay, so first off, I want to let you know that I am keeping a count of all the feet we're talking about. So at the end, we will wrap it up.
Excellent.
So we've already talked about foot number 1, which when you read
Whole
about
leg.
when you read about this online, it often does not include the 2 feet that were found before 2007, but I'm including them here. Okay, because I think it's a good part of the history. All right. So according to a Wikipedia page dedicated to this mystery, which is literally just called the Salish Sea Human Foot Discoveries, it's very thorough. And this was the source for much of this episode. The Vancouver Sun reported on July 30th, 1914, that another leg and a high boot was discovered on a beach near the mouth of the Salmon River. All right, fast forward to the summer of 2007. So almost 100 years later. On August 20th, a little 12-year-old girl was walking on a beach on Jebediah Island in British Columbia with her family. She came across a blue and white Adidas, or excuse me, as my brother says, an Adidas sneaker.
Of course he does.
She came across a blue and white Adidas sneaker, and as many curious kids do, she peeked inside.
Oh.
She was horrified to
gonna say.
discover that it contained a man's right foot. It was a size 12 and was later identified as belonging to a missing man who had been suffering from depression.
Size 12. How tall was this man? And
Well, that's not that. I mean, that's a pretty normal
12?
size. As we will see. I'm going to keep going. As we'll see. SEA. Dad joke. All right.
And you're not even one. Oh my God. Nailed it.
Only 6 days later, another man's right foot in another size 12 white Reebok was discovered by a couple on Gabriola Island in British Columbia. Police were stunned. 2 being found in such a short period of time is
Again,
suspicious.
How far apart again?
6 days.
6 days. Wow.
So, quote, 2 being found in such a short period of time is suspicious, Gary Cox of the Royal Canadian Mounted
Wonder if his shoe is
Police.
size 12.
Does the foot correspond to the size of the Gary Cox?
Okay, I'm a nurse. I'll tell you, it's hands.
No.
It's hands.
Hands do? So Bigfoot should have a... Okay,
100%.
we've talked about this before. You'll be able to get that special episode on Patreon.
Yeah.
So Gary Cox said that 2 being found in such a short period of time is suspicious. Finding 1 foot is like 1,000,000 to 1 odds, but to find 2 is crazy. I've heard of dancers with 2 left feet, but come on.
Oh,
Bump. King
That
of the
was-
dad jokes, Gary Cox.
yeah. That is not. Yeah. Okay.
Nice try there, Cox.
Cox down. Cox down.
Cox.
Cox
Okay.
flaccid. Flaccid. Fell flaccid.
Mr. Cox, that fell flaccid. Okay. The mystery did not stop there. On February 8th, 2008, another man's right foot in a size 11 Nike was discovered on Valdez Island.
So this is all right feet. All
right?
within
So,
a short
yeah,
period
these
of
are-
time. Is this when it enters our radar? Like I remember it coming on the news. Hey, there's this weird thing happening. Is this
Yes,
the time
and
era?
we will
Okay.
talk more about that
Okay,
at the
so
end.
this
I'm
is-
going to go
this
through
is where
all
it
the
starts hitting
discoveries.
our-
exactly. It's
our
getting into the
radar.
zeitgeist, right?
Okay, yeah.
Are you out of champagne? That's sad.
That's what happens when you guzzle your champagne for breakfast.
On May 22nd, a woman's right foot in a blue and white New Balance sneaker was found on Kirkland
she's straight
Island.
away.
Right. It was an island in the Fraser Delta. Now, this one was not thought to have anything to do with the ones found on the Gulf Islands, as it had been most likely been washed down the Fraser River. This foot was later identified as belonging to a woman who had jumped from the Potillo Bridge in New Westminster in April of 2004. Now, this is 2008. So it took 4 years for this to wash up and be discovered.
Holy
Okay.
cow. So how decayed is this? 4 years.
I did not see how decayed it was.
Yeah, it's got to be just bone, right? Like,
Well, it was in a sneaker, so the sneaker's helping to preserve it a little bit.
Okay.
Because then it can't be, the foot inside the sneaker is not being eaten by
Sure, but it's not dissolving away either by bacteria. And
remember the Salish Sea is fairly cold, so that's going to help
Maybe
preserve it a little bit. Yeah.
preservation, okay.
And then the salt water too probably helps preserve a little bit.
pickled.
It's pickled.
It's a pickled foot.
Yum.
Oh God. Okay, step too far, Shay.
Okay.
Oh my God, what is wrong with us?
On June 16th, 2008, a man's left foot now in a size 11 high-top shoe was found on West Ham Island.
High top, so more foot preserved.
Exactly. It was later determined that this was the match to the foot found on February 8th on Valdez Island.
Both feet now.
Yes, it is bonkers that both feet were not only found, but found on different islands. The remains were later identified as a 24-year-old Surrey man who had been reported missing 4 years earlier.
That's insane. So like both feet,
Both
washed
feet
up, different
washed up
islands, different
within a year
eras.
of each other.
Wow.
4 years after he had been reported missing, and they think that it was a death by suicide.
Dang. But nothing else about this man has been found. Just his two shoes.
I couldn't find anything. I didn't see anything yet.
Wow.
I didn't look very hard though either. Okay. On August 1st, 2008, a right foot inside a man's size 11 black shoe was discovered in seaweed. It was covered in seaweed on a beach near Fisht, Washington. Are you familiar with Pysht? Fisht. I've never heard of fish.
It's a noise.
I live
it's
in
not
Washington.
even a word. It's a noise.
Have you ever heard of fish?
No. I've lived here
of weird names in Washington.
all but
that
2
might
years of
be the weirdest.
all but 4 years of my life. The
Fish.
first 2 and a couple 2 in the middle.
Yeah.
I've lived here my whole life and have not heard that.
The area is in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which is a body of water between I wrote a bloody of water.
Oh no.
It
Can be. There's orcas and sharks.
I know there's a lot of blood in that water. It is between Vancouver Island and Washington State, and it is the main outlet for the Salish Sea into the Pacific Ocean.
Shay, it is literally one of my favorite places to be. If you haven't been there
floating
yet,
around in the Strait of Juan de Fuca.
100%. I've done it on my boat. I've done it on a kayak.
Why is it your favorite?
There is something majestic when you're up there and you're in that water. It is overwhelming and majestic. And every time I see it, I am overwhelmed by the beauty. And there's something about it that's just, it encompasses your soul. Now that I know about the feet, though, it might change my opinion.
Well, I mean, we'll get to that. You'll be fine. Real quick, for those of you who aren't in the Pacific Northwest or maybe just don't know about this area of it, because maybe you live in Idaho.
Right.
No shade.
Oregon.
You live in Idaho.
I mean, why would you know about the San
or
Juan
Alaska,
Islands and the Salish Sea?
Northern California. Okay,
You probably know in Alaska.
So the Salish Sea is one of the world's largest inland seas, and it is named after the first inhabitants of the region, the Coast Salish. It encompasses the Puget Sound, the San Juan Islands, and the waters off of Vancouver, BC. So we've got the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and we've also got Strait George. It has 4,642 miles of coastline, 419 islands, and a sea surface area of about 6,500 2,635 square miles. And we will include a map of this on our Instagram and Facebook page. So
Do you know how
can,
deep it is?
I did not put that down, but I did read it. It's pretty deep.
It's really deep.
I think there was like 2,600 feet.
Right,
deep.
right.
Yeah.
I remember kayaking and our guide told us, and I looked down and I was terrified. And I'm like, Jody, what does it matter after 10 feet?
Yeah. It's a little bit deeper than
You
Crater
done.
Lake, which is
You done.
about 2,000 feet deep. Okay. So on November 11th, 2008, a woman's left foot was discovered floating in the Fraser River in a New Balance sneaker.
Okay,
Later,
what's
it
our
was
count now?
9.
Oh,
This is
wow.
the 9th foot.
Wow.
Later, it was determined that this was the match to the foot found on May 22nd on
Okay.
Kirkland Island. Feet went quiet for about a year.
Huh.
They were just tiptoeing. That was dumb. That was real bad.
No, I loved it.
I mean, I don't know why, but I'm thinking about like what was happening in late 2008, early 2009. The only thing I can think is that when we were starting to get really into the recession.
Right. Because these are so far suicides when we've been able to identify, right? Like
I
what's
think
causing
so.
people to
I
do
think
this?
mostly it's been people who have drowned on
Mhm.
purpose. So on October 27th, 2009, a man's right foot in a size 8.5 Nike running shoe. It keeps autocorrecting to show.
Oh, why?
I don't know.
A running show?
A running show was found on a beach in Richmond, BC. The foot was later identified as belonging to a Vancouver area man who was reporting missing in January of 2008. And then another good chunk of time goes by. On August 27th, 2010, a woman's or child's right foot was found without a shoe or sock on Whidbey Island. Now we're in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
It had been in the water for about 2 months and was never identified. A right foot belonging to either a child or a small adult was found in Tacoma,
Ooh.
Washington on the
Ooh.
tidal flats. The foot was in a boy's size 6 Ozark Trail hiking boot, and it was found on December 5th, 2010.
Boys. So, oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember hearing this one.
I don't either. On August 30th, 2011, a foot of undeterminable sex was found in a man's white and blue size 9 runner, floating next to the Plaza of Nations Marina back in good old Falls Creek, BC. This marina, this was interesting, is almost directly across the bay from where our very first foot was discovered in the 1800s.
The leg and boot?
Uh-huh. Directly across the bay.
Wow.
Also, it wasn't just a foot. The lower leg bones were attached.
Again.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this was in a shoe, not a boot. But yet the
Yes.
whole leg stayed
Yes.
maintained.
It is
Wow.
coincidence, but it is an interesting coincidence.
Yes, for sure.
At Sasamat Lake in BC, I may be saying that wrong, the right foot of a local fisherman who had gone missing in 1987 was discovered by campers on November 4th, 2011. Can
Holy
you believe
cow.
that?
That's like a retro shoe right there.
I know. That's crazy.
That
to
is
me.
crazy. And
That's
so it probably
crazy. So he probably had drowned. His body was at the bottom of the lake, and then his foot finally became detached and finally floated up.
popped on it.
Yeah.
What lake was this?
Sasamat Lake. So
not related to the Salish Sea.
I don't know. I'd have
Or
to
is
look
it
and
off the
see
Salish Sea?
if it is off of Salish Sea or not. It may be unrelated, but it's a foot. All right. On December 10th, and I'm not laughing about the feet. It's just the whole thing is a little bit, it's
Bizarre.
morbid and bizarre,
Bizarre.
which sometimes all you can do is
Like,
laugh.
why feet? Why feet? Why not hands? Why not head? Why not?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Why not
there's a
shirt?
reason.
Yeah.
We'll get
Okay.
which we will get to.
All right. Right.
On December 10th, 2011, we head back to Washington. A human leg and foot were found in a black plastic bag under the Ship Canal Bridge
This
in Lake
cannot be
Union.
suicide.
No.
Okay.
You know, where do you like come across
I've
the
watched
body?
iMuch ID channel that all bodies come in plastic bags, garbage bags, black
All
ones on the
bodies
side of
come
the
in
road.
Plastic bags.
On the side of the road. Or any random place. If you see a garbage bag, a black garbage bag,
I always
you
think,
can
is there a body in
guarantee
there?
there's a body in
Right,
it,
that's what
right?
I always think.
And this time it was just a leg.
It was never identified.
Hmm.
Yeah, that had to have been foul play because you don't come across a suicide
I'm going to wrap my leg in a plastic bag before I kill myself.
just to mess with people.
Oh my God, I might actually. If I get to that point, I might mess with people.
All right. So far we have talked about 15, count it, 15
That's insane.
disarticulated feet found in the Salish Sea greater area spanning over 100 years. And we aren't done.
Wow.
There is still more afoot.
Shut up. I cannot believe you're not a father. All signs point to you being a real dad.
I'm a great dad.
I mean, if your jokes are any indication, fantastic. World renowned.
So when I finally get my dog, you're going to be like, she's a dog dad.
Yes.
And you're really like,
You
why
don't
are you
even know
calling her
how
a
funny
dog
she is.
dad? It's like, she has the best dad jokes. They're so bad.
It's freaking happening.
All right. All right. So a boot with human bones inside was found on January 6, 2012 in the sand along the water at a dog park in Vancouver. Now, this did not mention if a dog found it or a human.
Oh, yeah. Just walks up with it.
That's
Hi, look what I found at the beach.
That's where
In her mouth. Oh my
is
God.
that worse than having to pull desiccated cat turds out of your dog's mouth?
No, because this is definitely more intriguing. Like, at least there's a mystery on the other end.
There's no mystery about the desiccated
No.
cat turds.
No, the cat turds are just like, God dang it.
I had to
The leg's like,
pry.
wow, what the heck?
I had to pry his jaws
Shut
open to get the cat turd out. It was like desiccated, and he was like,
Oh, it's old even. No, okay, this happened to me once. I had a pit bull and I did this, and I get it out of his mouth. It's a fucking rabbit, and I mean it is powdery, decayed in my living room. And I'm like,
Ew.
oh my God, no! I'm like, I kept going. So I actually walked by it like 24 times, going, that stuffed animal needs thrown out, and God, it stinks. And so finally. I'm like, no, there's a reason.
That's so gross.
This is a bunny from long ago
That's so disgusting.
and dusty.
Oh God, that's pretty bad.
It's so bad.
Either way, you go and you brush your dog's teeth.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. So we're gonna go fast through these next
Okay, go.
several.
I'll behave myself.
All right. A foot in a white New Balance was found on the shoreline of Centennial Park in Seattle, Washington on May 6, 2014.
Okay, hold on. I have to say, a white New Balance. This was a
Probably bought at Costco.
50, right. It was bought at Costco. This is a 55-year-old white male.
Right. Hey, do not shit on buying your clothes at Costco. This is from Costco. This is from Costco. These socks are from Costco. Is that from Costco?
Yes. That's why I don't go to Costco. I end up buying all the clothes.
Damn it. Hashtag Costco fashionista.
Yes. I am very comfortable right now. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I'm fine. I've really started to give up caring what I look like to other people as long as I'm comfortable. Okay. On February 7th, 2016, hikers found a foot in a sock and running shoe on Botanical Beach on Vancouver Island. 5 days later, its mate washed up near Port Renfrew, close to the prior location. December 8th, 2017, remains of a leg and foot washed up near Jordan River on Vancouver Island. On May 6, 2018, a hiking boot with a human foot inside was found on Gabriola Island. We're back to Gabriola Island. A size 9.5 light gray Nike with a foot inside was found on the shore in West Vancouver. On January 1st, 2019, a foot in a boot was found on Jetty Island near Everett, Washington. It was later tied to a man named Antonio Neal, missing since December 2016. So almost 3 years. Almost there. We're staying in Washington. On November 21st, 2021, a size 7 Brahma work boot was found washed up on Locust Beach near Bellingham. December of 2021, a size 8 New Balance washed up on the mouth of the Elwha River in Port Angeles, Washington. They later tied it to Geraldine L. Smith, who went missing from Sequim in January of 2018. For all of you out there who don't live in the Pacific Northwest, Sequim is another one that is commonly mispronounced because it is spelled Sequim.
Sequim. Sequim. Sequim.
Sequim. And last but not least, the 26th foot in our story was found on July 23rd, 2023
Ooh.
on Gonzales Beach in Victoria, BC.
Wow.
Now, so why do we keep finding these grisly bits of flotsam on our
Right, and
beaches in the
just feet.
Pacific Northwest?
I want a hand, an arm, something, nothing, just feet and shoes.
I mean, is it a serial killer who's into feet? Is it a plane crash in the nearby ocean? Drowning victims that have been trying to cross the border?
Well, I was thinking about people like getting on cargo ships trying to get here.
That's one theory.
Yeah.
But authorities and scientists have concluded that the reason we keep finding feet is for a few reasons.
Oh, few.
First, when a body is in the sea, scavengers go for the more tender, exposed bits. Often this is the ankle where the skin is thin. And there is not much actually holding your foot onto the rest of your leg, just some ligaments and tendons, right?
Right. And those bones there's like several little bones, right?
So, Sebastian the crab is picking away at this new...
He's speaking in an accent.
Yes.
Okay.
At this floating buffet.
Suddenly this is not weird and creepy anymore, and it's entertaining and fun. Lighthearted and
Exactly.
childlike.
And pretty quickly, the foot is disarticulated from the leg. So in 2007, a study by Simon Fraser University showed that a corpse could be reduced to a skeleton in as few as 4 days
Holy
by
cow.
all of the hungry critters in the sea.
And is that at the bottom of the sea we're talking about crustaceans, or
So
do they just float and
submerged
something?
a pig's carcass under something that would keep it submerged, but it was still floating
Oh,
as far as what I could see.
So it wasn't sitting on the bottom.
So the crabs will swim up.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're
'Cause
somewhere near the
'cause-
bottom, but they're not
well, 'cause
sitting
think, like,
necessarily.
you've got these big beds of seaweed, and sometimes animal carcasses will get caught in that. And so scavengers will just hang out and
Sure.
eat on the stuff that's in there. So why doesn't the foot sink to the sea floor? Well, there has been a big change in sneaker design since the early 2000s. So modern athletic shoes utilize a lot of lightweight foam that has been injected with air, making the shoes and the feet inside of them more buoyant.
So this is why it's more of a recent issue, that it's more frequent.
Notice this mostly is happening since the 2000s.
So what you're telling me is before the 2000s, we just have a lot of shoes on the bottom of the sea floor.
Sure.
They just didn't make it up.
Yeah, they're most likely now to float up to be able to be washed ashore to be discovered.
That part's a new phenomenon.
So the unique currents of water movement within the Salish Sea also has something to do with it. So according to oceanography professor Parker McCready of the University of Washington, in an interview to Vox, he said things that float at the ocean surface move with the currents, but are also pushed a bit by the wind. And this can be significant in getting them to shore. The prevailing winds here are west to east, and so floating stuff in this part of the Pacific gets blown to the coast effectively. So the large and complex body of water of the Salish Sea acts as a trap. So another factor why we're finding all of these feet may be a phenomenon called frequency illusion, also known as the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. Frequency illusion was coined by Stanford linguistics professor Arnold Zwicky. I love that last name. Zwicky. It is essentially a cognitive bias in which a person notices a specific concept, word, or product after recently becoming aware of it. So when you buy a Cadillac, all of a sudden you see Cadillacs everywhere, right?
Okay, so that's the what phenomenon? The
Bader-Meinhof or
Bader-Meinhof.
frequency illusion.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, that happens to me a lot. Like I'll be like, oh, Apple Jacks. Oh, now I see Apple Jacks everywhere.
Right.
And I haven't talked about Apple Jacks since 1984.
Exactly.
Got ya.
So for the Pacific Northwest, there were several news pieces about feet being found on beaches. So now everyone on the beach looks for shoes and then looks inside of them to see if there's a foot. Where before, maybe you just thought it was a piece of sea trash.
Right.
So perhaps instead of the frequency of feet being washed up on shore increasing, it was just increased awareness. So it's a mix of selective attention, keeping an eye out for something, and confirmation bias. More feet have been found, so more feet are being washed up.
Got it. I have a hard time with that.
So it's just it's a
That theory to
cognitive
me is
bias.
Like, like, does that mean we didn't used to look in shoes? Because I think everybody always would have been curious finding a foot in a shoe. Are we
Well, I
less
think
we're more curious
we're
now
more
about
curious
what's in the shoe?
because there's the awareness that people have been finding
got ya.
feet in shoes.
Okay, so now we're gonna be looking for it.
Instead of just walking on the beach. Now you're looking where at the shoreline, and then when you see a shoe, you're going to look inside it. Where maybe before you're like, ew, gross.
Right.
And you stay away from it.
Well, that's the same thing as my black plastic bag, my garbage bag.
Exactly.
I would never, ever, I'd be like, ooh, gross, who dumped their garbage? And I'm like, oh my God, there's a body over there.
Exactly. So that's the same sort of thing.
Yes. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that's the case of the Salish sea
Wow. So
feet
it's not
discoveries.
as mysterious as it seems. There's answers behind these. Many of these have been identified. I didn't know that for some reason in my recollection of the story. And obviously,
Right. A lot of them have been
into
tied to missing persons, and most of those people they think were probably suicides.
Gotcha. I didn't even know that they tied them back to anyone. I just thought they'd been found and never identified, but a lot of them have been tied back to suicide.
Yeah.
So that, and the Salish Sea is, I mean, it's a swirly. I mean, as a boater, Keith and I used to have a boat. We had no business being out there. I don't know why. You cannot leave a car lot without a driver's license, but you can go buy a boat. In fact, one that's way too big for somebody who's never owned a boat or been in sea.
And just
you can
cruise
just
around.
have that. They gave us an hour-long session on how to drive this. I'm not even lying.
It's running into docks everywhere.
And said, now you're good. And go to the San Juans like you've always dreamed. And we did. And we are alive by the grace of God.
And then also realized maybe this wasn't a great idea because it costs $1,000 every time we take the boat out because of gas.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
And your friends are like, oh, can we take your boat out? And you're like, and they're like, well, buy some beer.
Yes. A 6-pack of beer, a case of beer on good days would show up. And I'm like, yeah, the gas was $400, but thanks. I'm not thirsty now.
Thanks for spending $24 on that case of PBR.
Right. Yeah. You're welcome. Oh, that's just the gas. Let's not talk about the cost of the boat, the insurance, the maintenance, the fact that we had to store it in a slip because it was too big to bring home.
So my grandfather had a little sign on his desk that said, a boat is a hole in the water surrounded by wood into which one pours money.
Yes, 100%. That's all it was.
Now wood, now it's fiberglass. But
yes.
still. So my main source was the great Wikipedia page, the Salish Sea Human Foot Discoveries. And there was also a great article on allthat'sinteresting.com. There's lots of articles out there. I also listened to an episode on Stuff You Should Know, which is a great podcast. Not a whole lot of mystery, really, about them.
Nope. There's no other theories out there that we could run with that are
there was
exciting.
A theory for a while. There's a serial killer that was in Canada. I think his name was like Robert Picton. And
isn't he like the one that fed his victims to his
pigs and then would feed people the pigs?
Yeah.
He was like a modern Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to do a piece on him at some point when we get into yeah. But for now, there's not a whole lot that's
they thought maybe he'd been tossing feet.
Yeah, but no, it's modern
That'd be
sneaker
weird.
design. It's the Salish Sea's special properties, and then it's that cognitive bias.
So there's real answers to this mystery.
Yes, there is, but it still is mysterious. And if you are walking on a beach in the Pacific Northwest and you find a shoe,
especially near the Salish Sea, we aren't all near
Yes.
Salish Sea in the Pacific Northwest. If you are in the Salish Sea, keep your eye out for a sneaker.
look in that shoe.
You're walking on the rocks, the seashore.
If
you keep
want
your eye
to
out.
be part of that. If you don't want anything to do with that, don't look in a shoe. You don't know. Probably all you're going to find is a crab and some seaweed, most likely.
Yeah.
I will post. I have a fantastic photograph of a shoe on a beach that I took at my happy place, Harstein Island, last summer, and it was.
But there's no foot in it?
There's no foot in it, but it was covered in seaweed, and it's just a great photograph. So I will post that on our social media. It's so good. But I definitely looked inside of it because I thought of this immediately. See?
This is literally
Frequency illusion,
what spurred this entire
exactly
adventure, Rainy Day Rabbit Holes.
was Harstein Island.
And talking about this specific topic as well as others, but like this did come into our, hey, there's so many weird things in the Pacific Northwest. This was on the top of the list. So thank you so much because I've always wondered and never put a lot into it because I've, like I said.
It's just one of those mysteries floating
out there. It's a mystery out there, and I'm always
creepy,
looking into other mysteries. I've never made it to this one. So thank you for answering this for me. I'm not exactly happy that it's not that much of a mystery. I mean, you may have ruined it
with something more nefarious.
I did want nefarious. I mean, it could have been aliens. Hey, Bigfoot could have been just eating everything but the foot. But
he doesn't know.
But no.
He doesn't know how to work shoelaces.
It's just the Salish Sea and modern sneaker design. Thanks, Shea.
Bigfoot. only has Velcro sneakers because he does not know how to work
Shoelaces, right.
So,
So if you're in laces, your feet are safe, but you're not. No,
Yeah.
that's not what came from this story.
So
but,
if you
but
were
thank you for answering
if
it.
you were the old man who buys his Velcro
Yes.
New Balance, you know, your feet will probably never be found because
that's
Bigfoot can handle the Velcro
Yep,
sneakers. but
they're just not
the
safe.
laces.
We're just never gonna find any part of you if you're wearing
So
Velcro.
if you wear Doc Martens, though, I bet your
Oh,
feet would
shoot.
never, because they will sink. Those things are heavy.
Yep.
Let's wrap this up. So guys, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening. And please, again, go and follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts, follow us wherever you can follow us, everywhere. And more importantly, please share the podcast with your friends and family and anybody you know, your coworkers,
Anyone you know.
as long as they won't be offended by
Right.
Jack.
Right. You gotta have some sense of humor.
Yeah, you got to have a sense of humor. So maybe not your church group. I mean, just saying. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Well, we will see you next time. And until then,
See you down the rabbit hole.
So sit back and relax, everyone, as you listen to our
Very funny. Did you just freeze?
Yeah.
You're like literally, I was like, wait, am I watching TV? She stopped blinking.
my brain shut down. Like it just stopped working.
Like you're a robot. You're
I am sleep deprived. Hey there, Rabbit Holes listeners. Are you loving the twists and turns of our stories but wish you could skip the ads? Well, we've got some great news for you. By joining our Patreon, you can listen to our episodes completely ad-free. Plus, you'll get access to exclusive bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes content, and more. It's a great way to support the show and dive even deeper into the rabbit holes with us. Just head over to patreon.com/rainy day rabbit holes to join the fun. Thanks for your support and see you down the rabbit hole.